I cut your throat.
They call it caring.
He's at the tailor's and he wants to be suited and booted.
When Welsh farmer Gareth Wyn-Jones posted this film on social media, showing techniques he uses to help a ewe adopt a lamb, he suffered a wave of hate abuse, including death threats, all in the name of caring for animals, for the planet.
It was like unbelievable. I don't want to go into that kind of language, but it was awful. And I was about to block it, and then a voicemail came through from the same one. So I thought, right, let's have a listen. And then same kind of language, but in the middle of it, he says, I want to come and cut your throat and cut your family's throat, which is like, whoa. And you could hear this guy was deranged.
Gareth, who farms in North Wales, has notified the police.
You never know where it's coming from, so I literally, shocked. And my wife heard it, that upset her, so we're both sitting there Sunday night. It just spoilt everything. Absolute disgusting behaviour from an individual, and he works for a charity out in the Netherlands. We've done some digging, so we phoned the police, and it's under investigation as we speak now.
Fieldsports Nation member and former Metropolitan Police detective Ian Jensen says the police have limited powers to tackle hate crimes.
Making threats to kill somebody is a specific offence if the person sending it intends you to fear that it will be carried out. So even if you're not frightened, that kind of doesn't matter, because it's the intention of the person sending the message. That's the important thing.
Animal rights extremists can take their hate to your front door, as reported in Fieldsports News. These men came to Syed Rizwan's house in Essex after dark, following an article about him hunting in the Daily Mirror that revealed his home address. He spoke to them and they left without causing damage.
I have received every type of abuse a person can possibly receive, whether it's phone calls, emails, text messages, voice messages, messages via my social media pages. They called on my company lines several times, spoken to my staff, swearing at me, calling me names, you name it. And I feel awful. The reason I feel awful about it, that I'm a law-abiding citizen of UK who's done nothing wrong, nothing against the law. I've not committed any crime whatsoever. So why I have to go through all this?
Ollie Williams, who runs the Cornish sporting agency, is frequently the target of abuse and death threats, following his appearance on hit TV show Love Island.
So I've undergone, obviously, a lot of, or more than most people in terms of death threats and abuse. I think probably have had best part of 10, 15,000 messages of hate and death and all sorts. But in truth, these online messages, you shouldn't let them get to you, because they're not real.
Neil Rowntree, a deer stalker from Scotland, is also all too familiar with the abuse.
In the last 3 to 4 years, it's got considerably worse. I mean, we've had telephone calls to the house that the children have answered, that Faye's answered, or messages that have been left on the answer phone that suggest that your children should be run over, that they should die of some horrid disease, that we should die of some horrid disease. They've shared vehicle registration numbers. Both myself and Stevie, photographs of us were put online.
In says that hunters and shooters are no good at being victims.
It's important that the authorities, the police, and the people who run social media platforms realise the threats, harassment and trolling that people involved in field sports are subjected to on a regular basis. It's not widely reported, certainly not as widely as the alleged abuse that opponents of field sports claim to be receiving every day. They're rather better at being victims of this sort of behaviour than people involved in field sports are. And it's only by informing the police and social media platforms that the people who do send abusive messages or threatening messages to people involved in field sports can be brought to account and their behaviour challenged.
Gareth is determined the antis will not win, and he will continue to share the realities of farming life.
I believe rural people are targeted because there's so much misleading information out there. You know, we're living in a world where 80% of people live in cities and they've lost connection with the countryside and what goes on, food production, and they live in like a Disney bubble that they think food just falls from the magic supermarket tree and lands on the supermarket shelves and nothing dies, and you know, it's just bonkers. People are just so far removed from reality. And as somebody that's hunted, fished, you know, I know what it takes to put food on my plate. I know what dies for me to grow my veg and fruit.
Even if the police can do nothing, Ian says report all abuse to them. It will cross someone's desk in the Home Office and eventually they'll take action.
The Fieldsports community and the rural community, you know, they're kind of used to taking how shall I say, people's disagreement in their stride, because and they play generally with a straight bat. You know, you accept that not everybody agrees with field sports and not everybody agrees with fishing, but if you could just have a fair chance to explain it, people may come around to your way of thinking, and mostly people do, but not everybody. But then we sit back and see behaviour of the sort that we've discussed, and certainly the kind of messages and stuff that Gareth has got online is absolutely nipped in the bud and not accepted. And the way we do that is by screen grabbing it, getting your evidence and giving it to the police and insisting that they do something.
It's stressful. It enters into your family's life. It can affect them when they're at school. It can affect you when you're at work. People can comment when you go into supermarkets. And I don't think it's an effort to correct us. I think it's an effort to destroy our way of life and people's ability to make a livelihood.
In his letter it said, I will kill you in the next 12 months, that is a promise. And I know your routine, I know where you'll be at certain points and whatever. It was pretty terrifying letter to receive anyway. And anyway, they traced this back to a chap in West Yorkshire, a 65-year-old man, I think. And I think he got a slap on the wrist. So they don't take these things seriously. So the police aren't taking it seriously. I think it's a shame, because it's just normalising his behaviour. If there's no consequences, then that of course will be the issue. But no, it never made me quit shooting unless one of them actually followed through with it, I suppose.
It's not easy being a farmer, and I think we're an easy target for these animal rights because they've got nothing in their lives. They are lost souls and they're looking for something, and sometimes I feel really sorry for them that they've got so much hatred towards another human being, and then they say they're kind and caring individuals. Total deluded, I would say.
Thanks.